Today I am going to be telling you a story. So go ahead, wrap yourself up in a blanket, and listen to this story. This story is about a young kid who was a little over 12 and a half at the time of the story. It begins in the world of dreams, just like any good tale. Only difference with this tale is that it ain't completely fantasy. This young man's name is Joseph, and he has a dream. And we are going to be looking into that dream that Joseph had. So strap in and listen and think about what you hear. The year of 2023. A lot of people remember this year for not existing, because time did not exist, and if it did, it was too fast, which is something that Joseph nowadays has told me that it is because Jesus said in Matthew 24, in the end times, time will literally be sped up. So time has started speeding up because we are getting too close to our own destruction. And Christ will be returning soon. That is how most people remember the year 2023. Am I wrong? Let's look into this dream that Joseph has had. He is just laying down. It's a normal night for him. Laying down and going to sleep, when out of nowhere, he is pulled into a dream. And in this dream, he has people on his left and on his right that are praying gibberish to him. And they are praying this to God. However, to him, it is just gibberish and whispers, because he is not to be able to hear what is going on. Now, before we go any further, Joseph has required that you remember that this is his interpretation of the dream, and it is open to human error. So, as I have shortly stated before, Joseph hears all kinds of whisperings to his left and to his right, prayers that to him sound like gibberish. And out of nowhere, a bright light appears. Suddenly, Joseph is pulled out of his dream. Joseph interprets this as such: the end times are near, and that was Christ returning in his glory. However, Joseph understands that while it may happen and he may experience it, that the time was not revealed to him, because that information is not to be out to anybody. Joseph then recalls that Jesus told a story about the sheep and the goats, where at the end of the age, the sheep and the goats will be separated from each other, and the sheep will be called into heaven, while the goats will be thrown into the pit of darkness and burning. After having said dream, or as Joseph believes, vision from God, he has been thinking about it, even up to 15 minutes ago, talking about it in a stream that he did. So now Joseph believes that this was truly a vision. But why? Well, it lines up very well with what has been established in the sheep and the goats story that Jesus told about the end times. Also, the fact that nothing very well was revealed to Joseph in said dream, because of the fact, no spoilers. Now, if you're asking why I know so much about Joseph's story, it is because Joseph is actually me. Yes, me at 12 years old was able to have a vision about the end times, or so I think. That is something that you have to remember whenever hearing this, is I am not 500 million% sure, which I need to be. There is maybe a 80% chance I am wrong. And when you consider it's me, that's why it's at 80. So what is this video about? Well, dear viewer, I am glad you asked. The simple reason I am making this video, it boils down to two reasons actually. Number one, showing that God can give anyone anything at any point of life. I received what I believe to be a vision from God at a little over 12.5 years old. So that means that God is able to do the same thing with you. And the second thing is to say that if you do not follow Christ, your time is running low, because not only can one day you're here, next day you're struck by lightning out of nowhere, but also Christ can return at any moment. Remember the story that Jesus told his disciples, that the guards were not ready for their master's return. So when the guards were least expecting it, the master returned.